Oh, it's
I mean,
100.
how exciting are you if you bring a woman to bed and she brings her phone?
I'm talking about.
How about a little?
Woo! That's it. That's the kill shot right there. All right, Howie, you know what? I didn't think you were funny, okay? But now I think you're funny. All right, now I think you're a little bit funny. That was good. You know what I'm saying? That was good. Y'all know who Howie Mandel is? The germaphobe, the guy that they believed was getting like kidnapped on TikTok a few years ago. The guy that doesn't like touching anything. The host of America's Got Talent. There's a video called How One Terrible Podcast Exposed Howie Mandel. And I've been wanting to watch this.
You know what they say, you either die the hero or live long enough to start a podcast and people realize they actually hate you. This couldn't be more true.
Nah,
for
live
Howie
long enough to
Mandel.
start a podcast and people realize they hate you is a... That's a crazy way to... Yo, that's a good one. I gotta give it to you. That's a good one. It's a little bit shady. You know, I don't really know how informative this is, but you know, yo, I love this guy. This is Patrick CC.
Who has become so disliked that even Dana White walked off his podcast within 20 seconds of being introduced.
20
You're an amazing
seconds?
businessman. You are an inspiration. You are a philosopher. The way you do business, the way you conduct your business and your friendships and media is I'm jealous. But Dana, I can't thank you enough for being here.
And thank you for all the kind words. I appreciate it. I am so...
Bro, I understand why he walked off. It sounds like you don't know anything about him. How the fuck you interviewing someone and you don't know anything? You need to know a little bit to be able to ask questions about certain situations. What the fuck? You're like, oh yeah, by the way, you know, you're a businessman and the businesses you do and the businesses.
tired of doing podcasts. I'm literally done with them. I'm not doing any more podcasts.
He looks so perplexed. He's like, what?
However, the podcast that changed
My thing is why did they post that? Was that, did they think that made him look good? Like, why would they post that? Why would they post? Why the f would you post that?
Howie's public perception actually occurred when he was a guest on Not Today, Pal, which is a podcast hosted by Jamie Lynn Sigler and Rob Eiler, who are most famous for their roles as brother and sister on The Sopranos, one of the most iconic TV shows of all time. Now, the problem with this episode can be assessed by the very first thing that
Yo, am I young? Or are you like, I've never heard of
Rob
that.
said.
Some people would introduce our guest as Hollywood royalty, but to me, he is the Christopher Columbus of my people, which are the germaphobes, the OCD.
Thank you.
These people, I just want to thank
But
you for
my thing
everything you've
is
done.
like,
I'm the Christopher Columbus of
how the
mental
hell
health.
did
Yeah, I
he
feel like you were
get
the first
famous?
one
I
out
discovered
there.
best guy.
I discovered neurosis and
You put it
OCD.
on the map.
I feel like you went
So the
out there.
Nina, the Pinta, and the sanitizer.
Yes.
Oh,
Very
wow,
good.
there
What
it
I did
is.
there?
I
Yeah.
love
Okay, what the fuck is yo, aside from being on America's Got Talent, what the fuck did Howie Mandel do? Am I crazy? Oh, he hosted Deal or No Deal too? Oh,
it.
Rob chose to introduce Howie not for his accomplishments in Hollywood, such as being the host of Deal or No Deal, one of the biggest game shows of all
Wow,
time.
he answered my
perhaps
question.
being a long-standing
That's crazy.
judge on America's Got Talent, or maybe being the voice of Gizmo in the 1980s classic The Gremlins, or even simply that Howie is a veteran
the
stand-up
Gremlins
comedian
came out in the 80s? What? Wait, really? Yo, I watched that when I was like alive in like 2006 or something, and like it seemed pretty up to date, you know, at that age. I need to rewatch. Some movies in the 80s though were cooking. Like Star Wars was cooking. Star Wars was cooking. Actually, I feel like some 80s movies look better than current movies.
who has been performing since 1977. Instead, Rob chose to celebrate Howie for his openness
Yeah, that is
over
crazy.
the years
I'm not
about
gonna
his
lie.
obsessive
Introducing
compulsive
someone as the
disorder.
fucking
It is very publicly
OCD
known
guy.
that Howie is a germaphobe, but that is a massive understatement to how he describes his OCD. a vicious dark circle. His makeup artist must use brand new sponges every day. He won't touch his money unless it's been washed. He avoids handrails like the plague.
Okay, handrails make
Handrails
sense.
are my enemy. I never go near a handrail. Even the reason why he is bald is because he believes it is cleaner than having hair to maintain and wash.
He's bald because he thinks it's cleaner? I mean, can you get lice if you have no hair? Like, you get scalp lice, you know what I'm saying? Because you still got the follicles even if you shaving it.
I'm always on the verge of death in my mind, he said in 2009. He
Me
even
too,
wrote a
bro,
book
and I'm
about
chronically
going
ill,
public
so.
with his struggle with OCD called Here's the Deal, Don't Touch Me. Now, the reason why Rob introduced Howie this way is because Rob too suffers from extreme OCD, specifically in the form of obsession over germs.
See, I'm gonna
Rob
be
made it
honest with
clear
you,
from
like,
the beginning that he looked up to Howie.
I don't think I could ever do a podcast because unironically, I introduce people like this. I'd be like, yo, we got the pioneer of, you know, moaning on the mic, you know, the boyfriend ASMR expert. And like, because I would think it was funny and then I would just piss the person off. You know what I'm saying? You know? Why y'all saying names? Okay. I'm not talking about anyone specific. That covers like half of the male VTuber demographic. What are you talking about? There was no shade thrown at a single person. All right. It was a large group of people.
He established common ground with their OCD struggles, and it seemed like Rob wanted to deep dive on this topic.
Do you think germaphobe eventually will get a new name that'll be changed into where they won't use germaphobe anymore?
Like a
Or
more
it'll
technical name?
It'll get woke.
Or
Like,
there is a technical name.
What is it?
Misophobia.
Mysophobia.
Yes, but I think eventually it'll just be known as Howie.
Rob probably lives your dream life, to be quite honest.
Why?
I barely leave my home, yeah.
Either do I.
Yeah, oh, really?
No, it seems like I'm out there because I'm on television and I'm on podcasts, but I'm a hermit. I live in the fetal position in my room wherever I am, unless I come out to.
Also, what's up with it with every
regale
podcast
you
in
with
LA, like having this weird leaf
Right.
background and this shitty like table in front
But
of
do
it?
you love
This one's cool
being
because of the
home, or
chest
is it
thing, but I
a
feel like they
torture
all
where
kind
I
of look
wanna
like
go out,
this.
but I'm stuck here.
I spend my life trying not to be tortured, but because my resting.
Listen, Howie, I don't really know you, but that line, bars. I spend my life trying not to be tortured. Me too.
My resting face.
Got some
or my
demonic
resting
background music.
Being is tortured. So I spend my life not to be tortured.
Howie also goes on to say that he is doing better than ever these days. He
Yeah.
is taking medication and receiving therapy to combat his disability. But the key thing that
Bro,
helps
he
him
looks
through
different
his
every photo I see of him.
tribulations is
Kinda like me.
distraction.
The biggest one is distraction. So I stay busy as possible. I'm doing at my age to be doing all the things that I'm doing
How old are
as
you?
frequently as I do them.
If he's like 80, I'm gonna lose my shit.
Is by choice, and then when I'm doing that, then it distracts me from my own inner mind. Unless you show up someplace and they want to talk about it. No, I'm okay.
Oh,
with
really?
that.
You don't wanna talk about
No,
it?
I'm okay talking about it.
It's interesting that Howie details how not thinking about his OCD is the main reason why he is able to cope, and he even says that when people talk about it, it makes him very uncomfortable. But then he quickly recants his statement and claims to be just joking. Howie likely said that because most people probably ask him a few questions and then move on. But Rob genuinely wanted to learn, have a deeper conversation, and maybe get some advice from Howie.
Yeah.
And after 8 minutes straight of
I
this
feel like-
discussion, Howie
I feel like that could be very insightful. Also for viewers at home, bro. It's like when I share my disability stuff. It lets people who have a similar issue know, like, hey, people that have my problem can do things too. So yeah, he's 68. Oh, him being 68 is kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie. That's impressive.
again jokingly stated that he did not want to talk about it.
I think even in this moment, if we talk about it, I'd be a lot more comfortable rolled up at home than sitting here with two people I don't really know. I like you. I'm not knocking you, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't
I
know.
get it.
I don't know what you've touched or who you've been with or what
Yeah.
you're-
100%.
what's breathing.
Who you've touched or what you've been with. That sounds like the most polite way to shame someone. Let's be honest. I don't know who you've touched or who you've been with. Especially since only a woman is in frame when he said this, it just looks bad. Like out of context, if just this clip, if you that someone could post it on Twitter and like slander the hell out of him. Because people on Twitter do that. They'll take out of context stuff and like make it look terrible. Like that's, if that's what happened, if that line right there, if I just predicted the end of this video by saying that's exactly what happened, guys, I've been a content creator for too long. But if this clip is the thing that made him be exposed, I'm gonna lose my. I'm gonna lose my.
Of you, but the truth of the matter is, I'm doing this, and this is good.
The conversation temporarily shifts for a few minutes, but Rob circles back to asking for some advice regarding his dating life.
So something that's really is a problem in almost all
This
my
music is
relationships
crazy.
the phone in the bed. When I go to lay down and the girl I'm dating has her phone in the bed, and like I'm like, hey, listen, I'm crazy. Like, that's the way I did. I go, I'm crazy. It bothers me. I go, can you try? And they're like, oh, of course, yeah, sorry. And then, of course, the next day, and because they're used to putting their phone in the bed.
Right.
And I find the phone to be so disgusting, and I want my bed to be very clean, wonderful place. Give me some advice. I also want to know from 1 to 10.
Bro, Howie Mandel. Watch Howie Mandel be the type. Y'all ever seen those psycho videos of those dudes like ironing their sheets every morning? How much you want to bet Howie Mandel pays someone to do that for him? With his rich ass, he's like, yeah, he saw that TikTok and was like, yeah, do this. Give me the psychopath, give me the psychopath cleanliness, please.
Ass pods?
Yeah, instead of
you got enough money for that.
Ass pods.
So Rob asks for genuine advice, and Howie makes a bad joke. And this is where the tone shifts a
Wait, what did
little
Howie
bit.
say?
Well, ass pods? Phone to be so disgusting, and I want my bed to be very clean, wonderful place. Give me some advice. I also want to know from 1 to 10.
Ass pods.
Ass pods?
Yeah, instead of AirPods. Ass pods.
So Rob asks for genuine advice, and Howie makes a
Okay, was he actually a comedian? Where did the humor go? Where did the humor go? Like, these jokes, I know middle schoolers that say funnier shit. You know what I'm saying? No offense.
bad joke. And this is where the tone shifts a little bit. It seems like Howie diverts to humor when he either doesn't understand a question or wasn't paying attention, or simply just because he is a comedian. However, you'll notice that his jokes don't land most of the time because his delivery is extremely dry and not witty. Combine that with the fact that he doesn't really want to discuss his OCD, and you get this nightmare of a conversation.
What's my advice to you?
Or even with something like
Are you
that
talking about
bother
the
you?
germs?
100%.
I wasn't even thinking of the germs.
Oh, it's
I mean,
100
how exciting are you if you bring a woman to bed and she brings her phone?
I'm talking about...
How about a little...
Woo! That's it. That's the kill shot right there. All right, Howie, you know what? I didn't think you were funny, okay? But now I think you're funny. All right, now I think you're a little bit funny. That was good. You know what I'm saying? That was good. I think the way you delivered it, though, is crazy. You just come off like an abhorrent head. But if you delivered it like, bro, if she's on her phone like, how boring are you, my man? Come on. You know, you said it something like that and then maybe laughed a little bit and then we're like, okay. But actually how I deal with it is, right? You could like make a joke, make it intentional that it's a joke, and then follow up and answer the question seriously. That would go over well. But his tone was like very like judgmental and like above others and being like, you know? So the way he did it was just, and also like, if you're a comedian, I feel like you should understand how tone comes off. I've never seen his stand-up sets. Listen, I'm 21, okay? When he was doing stand-up, I was like, you know, not even conceived yet, okay? Like the sperm cell hadn't even hit, the egg. I wasn't even a zygote. But alas, like,
little scroll and roll.
There are women who lay in bed at night on their phone, and then they
Not
take
on a
the phone.
date.
I'm not talking about a date. I'm saying I'm dating someone for months, and they're in their bed, or sometimes you show up at their place, you show up at my place, and the phone is on the bed because they were in the bed on their phone.
Dude, this is a good example of like two people that aren't understanding each other's like intentions behind questions, and it's leading to a lot of conflict that you can very obviously see. He doesn't understand humor, so he's getting offended. Howie doesn't understand why he's still pressing him about this, so he's getting offended. And so the jokes they're making are like kind of, there's a little bit more truth in them than there normally is, and I think that's like the crux of the problem in a lot of ways.
Germs from the phone in the bed really bother me, but I can't. What are you supposed to do? Like, I can't.
I don't think about the germs on the phone. The germs on the phone would be the same as the germs on her body. Like, where did she put her phone that she wasn't?
Oh no, people, they do swabs on phones, and they're like phones.
Don't bother me with this. Don't tell me what's the phone is bad.
You just asked me, I think.
To clarify, This is what Rob is talking about. Let's say I'm Rob and his partner is my
Wait, did he act this out? Yo, shout out to you, my man. You acted this out for the explanation. I would draw a little diagram on MS Paint or something. Have like a one of those like Iratosa, you know, default PNGs that they make you use in those like Japanese instructional videos, and just put one of those up. Shout out to you. You know what, Patrick CC? That's some good stuff right there, my man.
Girlfriend Riley. Rob does not like when his partner scrolls social media while laying in bed, or maybe even leaving their phone on the bed when they get up and go to the bathroom. Rob thinks this is filthy because cell phones carry 10 times more bacteria than most toilet seats. Now, Riley and I don't typically use our phones in bed because a few minutes after we crawl into our Helix Midnight Luxe mattress, we fall into a
oh my god, and it's a brand integration. Yo, you are a genius. No. Patrick CC. If you do a YouTube class, okay, how to be a YouTuber, how to be a brand friendly person, I would take that in a heartbeat. I would pay you like $20 a month for like 6 months, okay? You could scam my ass, all right? Because what you just did there was crazy. I need to take some notes. Damn. Woo! That was good.
Sleep. Helix Sleep makes
I'm gonna let the ad play.
And bedding that are customized
that
to
was
fit
that
your
was smooth. I
needs
can't even
and
hate.
conveniently shipped right to your door. The Helix lineup offers 20
Yo, I
unique
had a mattress like this where they shipped it
including
one
their
time.
award-winning Luxe and
And
ultra
literally,
premium
bro,
Elite collections.
And literally what happened when they shipped it is, I'm not even kidding, like it came in like a little roll, and then over time the air expanded it, and I took it out of the vacuum seal bag, and it literally went, and like, you know when like, okay, spring-loaded mic arms, if you remove the mic, they fly up. Like the mattress just expanded, okay? It had like a domain expansion on me and like flipped me out of my standing position, and I fell on my ass. I did.
Who likes a medium mattress.
I fell on my ass. My rump was hurting. My rump was hurting. It was like the one time I shattered my tailbone breakdancing. It was terrible. Was not the time. Was not the vibe. Was not the essence. You know? Delivery of mattresses is such a weird thing. Well, I think they do that to save space. Back in the day, mattresses were more like, what's it? They were more, they had like more like solid pieces in them, like wood or other things. So it wasn't as easy to do that. But now they're more like styrofoam or memory foam based.
Instructor than James Charles.
Oh God, I forgot James Charles did that show. Yeah, that's crazy. Now it's memory foam. Yeah, memory foam. But yeah, nowadays, like, look at this, bro. I'm telling you, this happened, okay? But, like, it was a rapid thing. It was a rapid thing, and I literally was cooked. I've never tried a Helix mattress, but when I had a Casper mattress, bro, that so comfortable, bro. I used to sleep on a rock prior to that, too. Like, literally a rock. Like, I'm serious. Like, a rock. Like, it was so bad. My room was the guest room, and I had guests coming into my room complaining that the mattress was that uncomfortable. So my parents got a new mattress, not because I complained, but because the random people that would stay at our house would complain. That's crazy. That is crazy, bro. I didn't even realize how bad it was.
Thanks again to Helix for sponsoring
this video. You can't hear it, I know I muted it because it was a sponsored
Howie finally
segment.
decided to give Rob some advice, and it was honestly pretty decent, but then Rob shot it down immediately.
Can I give you an idea?
Please.
Those
Ass
little...
pods?
No, that's for taking calls.
Oh.
But what about those little sandwich bags? Those little
Ziploc?
Ziploc clear sandwich bag. You go before you come in the bed, just drop it in here, zip it up. There you go. You can see it. It's there, and it doesn't touch the sheets. You should have sandwich Ziploc bags.
Wait, that's kind of fire, actually.
If you're single.
Listen, I like that, but the problem then becomes if they don't remember that I don't like the phone in the bed, they don't remember to put it in the bag. You know what I mean?
Are you dating somebody right now?
Right now, I'm not because of my many issues.
Since Rob did not take Howie's advice, Howie thought
But I feel like if you're dating someone, like they should be considerate enough to remember. You know what I'm saying? Just ask them. Be like, yo, can you sandwich bag it up real quick? Or just like, listen, I don't know how you know, I don't know if you hitting it raw in your relationships, okay? But I know some people keep a box of dom-coms next to their bed, okay? So if you can keep a box of dom-coms, you can keep a box of Ziploc bags and your damn, like, you know, nightstand, okay? Like, let's be honest with you, okay? Like, come on. It's like a dom-com, but for your phone. And if you got germs, I know he uses dom-coms. Let's be honest.
trying to turn the situation into a joke, suggesting that maybe the girl was on her phone because she was on probation being tracked by a parole officer. But Rob didn't even think he was joking and even talked about how he once dated a girl on probation.
I don't not.
He did not! He did not! Bro said, I thought he was joking about the probation, but then he started talking about how he actually dated a woman. The fact that he actually dated someone on probation too, like, just makes it even funnier, because the chances of that is very low. So the fact that he did that and was able to refer to it in this situation is insane to me.
Let somebody do it. I just, after like 3 weeks of dating, if they can never do it, I just go, I can't do this anymore. And then I'm gone, you know, instead of trying to be like, can't you please? I don't want to make it her
they're
problem.
not on, like, they could, you don't, there might be a reason for it. Maybe they're on probation and they have to be, you know, they're being tracked.
But I've dated girls on probation who don't do the phone in the bed. They're fine with it.
And you're okay with the ankle bracelet?
Yeah. Because we do the alcohol wipes before she gets in.
And he doesn't like to leave the house anyway.
Yeah,
and you don't
great.
do the
How absurd this conversation is. It's like they both sound like they're like, you know, when streamers like banter and meme, like this is, it sounds like they're memeing. Like it literally, it sounds like he's playing into the bit, but he's being serious.
alcohol wipes on her phone before you even go to bed?
She won't, you know, I also don't, the phone
You
is,
have a woman that'll go to bed with you but won't let you wipe her phone?
here's the problem. The phone is up by the head. The ankle bracelet's down by the feet.
I'm
So it
talking
doesn't bother
about-
me as much.
Once Howie realizes that Rob is not understanding the joke, he gets serious again, trying to give genuine advice, only for Rob to once again immediately shut down Howie's thoughts.
No problem telling anybody I'm a germaphobe. But if you say you're a germaphobe, can't you say, can't I swab or wipe your phone?
Yes, but then it becomes the living the life where I don't want to be watching her every hour and every minute of every day.
No, just
when
before
she's
bed,
walking.
it's a thing.
But it's not a before bed. Like, people like to go and just walk into the bed and put the phone. Like, people like to be in the bed even when it's not
Do you
bedtime.
sleep in a f***ing phone case? Why do they always
Listen,
go in there
I-
before
I-
and
He's
put
a
their
boy
phone?
in a bubble.
I live in a one bedroom, dude. I don't live in a mansion. Half the f***ing apartment is the bed.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're really charming the ladies. I can hear the
Hey.
ladies listening right now.
Bro, that's why I'm single, man. And a ton of reasons.
But there was another layer of disconnect that was more subtle but added to the animosity in the room. Rob and Jamie realized
they
throughout
both
the
are playing this off
podcast
very
that
well.
Howie did not
Very
really
poor.
know anything about them. It's
I feel like if you're going to do a podcast, you have to accommodate the guests more than the guest accommodates you. And on top of that, you also have to, I would expect the guests to not know anything about the podcast. You know what I'm saying?
common podcast etiquette to do some research on someone you are about to have a public conversation with, even if you are the guest on their podcast. But Howie revealed the first clue when he asked if they were a couple.
Are you two a couple? I don't know a lot about you.
No, we were
What?
on.
No.
We were co-stars in a television show as early teens, late teens, for 10 years, and then have continued our close friendship. We have a unique chemistry, and sort of that's what this show is about.
Were you ever a couple, even when you were
Never
working
a couple.
together? Oh,
Never.
Not even
Not
we
even
flirted.
yeah.
Like, we would go out to clubs and parties and never. It was always like we played brother and
We
sister.
feel
so it's
like
very
brother and
Is
sister.
that
sister.
so? And that you live that instead of you
Yeah.
live like brother and sister.
Rob gets
Two things. This comment, why does he seem so offended? Second of all, like, why is there so much animosity? It's the most unnecessary animosity because the conversation is not that serious. You know what I'm saying?
physically uncomfortable when people insinuate him and Jamie are a couple, and it's hilarious. It's likely that most of the people watching this video do not know about the Not Today Pal podcast. The podcast was established because Jamie and Rob have been best friends since childhood. They acted as brother and sister on The Sopranos and literally grew up on the show, so they carried that brother-sister bond and dynamic throughout their lives. With a little bit of research, Howie could have avoided that awkward moment, but a few minutes later he mentioned that he did not not know them again before explaining to them what their whole podcast is about.
My view from where I stand, I know who you are, but I don't know you guys. But as we sat down, you kind of captured the beginning of this as like, I'm f***ed up, and Howie helped me,
Instead of help me, Howard, help me, Howie.
not help me, but you're
not gonna evict you. He gonna evict the germs out your life. Evict the bad thoughts out of your head, not evict you from your apartment.
Their filthy phone in my bed. And then slowly but surely, the wave of neurosis comes to this side, where you take shoes for no reason at all. You're very concerned about what others think more than what is right to do. This is like a group session where we're going around. It's a meeting. It's like an intervention.
On the surface, this might seem like a subtle issue, but it's disrespectful at worst, but unprofessional at best. Like, imagine how Howie would feel if the player midway through Deal or No Deal was like, oh, so I'm supposed to guess the cases and hope that they contain low amounts of money because I want to win the high amount of money? It's like, yeah, dude, welcome to the show. There was also a moment where they talked about their ages, and his reaction to that information just made his level of cluelessness more apparent.
We've been friends for like 25 years or whatever. The boys.
Okay, not knowing someone's age, though, I feel like that's not that bad.
They Google a photo.
Wait, how old are you?
I'm 38.
Oh, wow. Same age as my kid. One of my.
Wait, 38? Yo, you look kind of good for being 38. I'm not gonna lie. Yo, I thought you were gonna say like I'm like 30. 29. 38.
Kids.
Yeah. So we've been friends for 26, going on
You're in your
27.
40s?
I'm 42.
You don't look it. Wow.
Oh, thanks.
So you're dealing
He's
with a bunch of
42?
kids here, huh?
Yo, my brain is cooked. What?
I thought you were
Howie?
kids.
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
no.
And after about the 20-minute mark, the conversation just totally fell off the rails. The hosts are agitated that Howie doesn't know them, and they think he's kind of being an asshole. Howie doesn't know if he should be funny or serious, and it's not like they can tell the difference anyways. And this train wreck of a conversation really becomes noticeable in their conversation about Nair, which is a hair removal cream that's safe.
You're trying to tell... Wait. You're trying to tell me their tension was so high that they fought over Nair hair removal? They're about to fight over Nair hair removal. They're gonna fight over Nair hair removal. Oh, no, I know why y'all said y'all got PTSD from the ass video. I was confused. I was like, did y'all use this and burn your skin? Because that can happen if you keep it on for too long. But no, it's that one video of the guy cleaning his...
removes
Yo, Nair's about to be their
unwanted hair
biggest
from the
enemy.
body.
Every day, every morning shave?
No.
No?
No.
You don't have
Nair.
to shave the sides?
I use Nair.
Do you?
He Nairs his head?
Okay.
Love Nair.
And is that so?
Love it.
When you're in a hotel,
Does that not
are you
hurt?
wiping your hair on like the hotel towels and tossing them? Where does this go?
What does that
I've
mean?
never used hair. I've never used Nair.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the process there?
I'm not using Nair. I shave.
Nair is...
I thought my grandma used Nair.
Nair is...
Your grandma?
My
you
grandma
can
used Nair on her arms.
You can open a bottle
Really?
of Nair and
Yeah.
smell.
Why do you know that?
because she always had the Nair and everyone made fun of her. And
So you have a hairy, like your grandmother has hairy arms, and then
she
she
never
would cream
did.
it because she creamed it off. But you asked your grandmother, Grandma,
What
where did
the
hair
fuck
go?"
are y'all
I'm
talking
fascinated
about?
That the fact that her grandson knows the process in his grandmother's hair removal.
Well, again, Howie, you're living in mansions. People like me, I grew up in a one-bedroom with many people.
Oh, so
and
she
all
used to
your
come
stuff,
over. Is right there.
All your stuff is with each other's
Is
stuff.
that the
There's
only
no-
limbs that she removed hair from?
That I know of. I know it was a big thing for her arms, but she probably used it on her whole body. Yeah.
So he proceeded to ask if he knows that Howie asked the podcast host if he knows if his grandma nared other parts of her body. Like, I'm sorry, Howie, the way you're going about this, it sounds like you trying to his grandma, okay? I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. You sound like you're trying to slide in his grandma's, I wouldn't say DMs, but you're trying to, have a carrier pigeon bring a letter to that. Okay? What the hell are we talking about? Huh? Like, you gonna kiss the seal too? Like, what?
Really? Well, she was older. She didn't use it on her whole body.
I don't know. She wasn't that old. I was a young, I was,
Did
she's
she
only
have a
probably-
landing strip?
I don't know. I never.
Why do you say I don't know?
I never
He went there. No, I didn't think he was gonna go there. I really didn't think he was gonna go there. I really didn't think he was gonna go there. I really didn't think he was gonna go there. But he went there. He went there. He went there. You know, when I said it sounds like you trying to f his grandma, I was kind of joking. I wasn't really being serious. But now I'm kind of like, what the hell? You sound like you don't even want to f his grandma. You sound like you want him to f his grandma, and you want to watch on the side on some weird like NTR type shit. Like he's trying to push buttons. Like, what is happening? That is weird, bro. That is a weird question.
Disappointment. Like, why are you disappointed?
Because I feel like I'm disappointing you not knowing the answer.
Well, how disappointed am I not knowing what your grandmother's vagina looks like?
Well, I've been alive for 38 years. No one ever asked me if my grandma had a landing strip, so I thought
You brought up the fact that your grandmother was removing hair.
from her arms.
Well, it doesn't just stop there.
The conversation is extremely unfocused and oddly hostile. But the
From
true
her,
peak
listen, it doesn't just stop there. It was like the only kind of comedic relief to that. Everything else was awful.
moment of chaos that ended the conversation was when they brought up a photo of Howie acting in the 1989 movie Little Monsters. Howie brought up his OCD, which they took seriously because that's what they do. Then he tried to make a joke about it and then kind of insulted Jamie by getting her name wrong and calling her Amy.
Yeah, that's me on the right.
I need to show my kids this movie.
It's so I remember.
I have to. They're gonna love it.
This was a hell for me.
It was.
Hell.
Well, we're
Because-
bringing
Was it the
we're bringing
makeup?
a lot of hell up for you here,
I'll tell you
Howie.
why.
I apologize.
No, but I'm wrapped in rubber, and
So
you know,
much, yeah.
and nowadays
Sounds like your dream.
I felt like such a dick.
You did?
See what I did there?
I got it.
Oh, because
Explain
you
it
were
to
wrapped
Amy.
in rubber.
Yeah.
Jamie.
Okay. Amy.
Jamie,
So,
'cause
so
I-
I was just.
I called you
Jamie.
Yami, so
Oh,
he probably
it might
you know,
be confusing.
just a
It's
little
okay.
nickname, Yami.
Yami. I thought I was wrong.
No,
I
so
didn't
you
know.
can call me Yami.
I
You
didn't
can
know.
definitely
I
call
didn't
me Yami.
understand what he was doing, and I tried to.
All chemistry was lost. The nail in the coffin was when Howie just refused to answer one of Rob's questions.
I'm not into old women or young. Like I don't even like the 18, 20. I'm like I like that middle. I like that sweet spot of, you know, whatever that is, 30, where I don't have to think about it. I don't have to go, oh, that person's older. Oh, that person looks too young. You know what I mean?
Nope.
Howie looks back off set, which seems like he's looking for a way to get out of this conversation and leave.
I don't know, like, who's... Like, I don't... I don't even know who to blame for this podcast being this bad. Like, it's just like, the whole thing was a nightmare. And, you know... I think Howie was the main culprit of this, but I think the podcast host reacted to it a bit too much, and then they kind of started bouncing off of each other's aggression. And she's sitting here like, what the hell is happening? Just smile.
But they're
I'm
only
surprised they even posted this. Yeah, I wouldn't have posted this either.
30 minutes into the podcast, so it's not time for him to go, and it just keeps getting worse.
You're really good at what you do.
Thanks.
I've watched it. You're really good actors too.
Thank
Are
you.
you still pursuing acting at all?
I am.
I hate it.
Yeah, he hates it.
Really?
I hate it. Yeah, I hate the like weird because you know what it is like.
You just told me how much you loved it when I said I want to do movies, and you said I like it because you can read the scripts. And
No,
you know
I'm saying I hate television compared to film. I'd rather do film because you know what you have to
So
do
are you
getting
not? Are
into
you
it.
going after film?
I hate all of it. No,
Oh.
I don't.
I don't understand what you said.
I don't. If I had to choose, I was just saying it's interesting that I don't like television, but I like the fact that in movies you get to, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Howie
See,
does
but like,
not.
Howie's like, I don't understand, looking off. Like, that's kind of rude too. You could have just been like, oh, okay, I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
relate to Rob at all, but they keep asking him questions.
Do you have recurring dreams? I'll translate.
Yes.
Thanks, guys. That was Howie.
Now Rob's trying to make jokes and they're not landing, and Howie starts to look pissed off. They all seem very obviously agitated.
Okay, but who gets asked a question on a podcast and says yes? Like, you've been in TV for so long. Clearly you know what makes an interesting conversation. You giving the word yes? Bro. My man. My little Mr. Clean that actually should be Mr. Clean, because you probably cleaner than Mr. Clean. What if I did a podcast and someone answered a question with yes, that was like a very open-ended question? That question wasn't okay, it wasn't open-ended, but it could have been. Like, you could answer in an open-ended way. You know what I'm saying? Like, the question wasn't great, but his response was even worse. Like, you could have made that an open-ended response.
Agitated and are looking for an excuse to just end this train wreck. But before Howie goes, he just needs to remind everyone that he didn't actually forget Jamie's name. He didn't think her name was Amy, but rather Rob confused him when he called her by her nickname, Yami.
Yo, move on! You think that's the worst looking thing you've done this podcast, bro? That has to be the tamest problem that you have created in this podcast. You rehashing it again seems like a bit weirder than just moving on.
Like, I've done my homework. And Amy, I just said your name out loud. It's like, that's the problem with overthinking. Get you in trouble if you just do what you know.
Every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
But it's not in trouble. It's a great moment. It's great that you thought her name was Amy. I love it.
Yeah.
That's a great moment.
Yeah. It's a great moment.
Then you've had a shitty life.
Yeah.
If that
I don't
in
leave
your
my
mind
apartment. I don't
is
leave my
a great
apartment.
moment,
I say no to
getting
everything.
the wrong name.
Yeah. I say no
so
to
he still knows
everything.
that.
Why are you here today?
Like, that joke could have landed if there wasn't this much hostility prior to this. I think that I would say that. Like, yeah, wow, damn, your life's been great. What hasn't it then? If me fucking up is a moment for you, sheesh. But like, since there was already this hostility the whole time there was hostility, bro. Clearly that's not gonna land.
Because I did say yes to Tom. I said yes to Tom and Christina when they offered us a podcast.
After the show, commenters flooded to defend Rob and Jamie. Howie is a jackass. This guy disrespected Jamie. Why was Howie so rude to Rob? Rob was excited to...
Yeah, Rob, I think the problem with this podcast is Rob really wanted to hear something insightful, because it'd be like... I'll give you an example. It'd be like me talking to someone I look up to that I know has health issues, and then them being short with me, giving me unserious responses, and kind of dancing around the questions when I like want to have a serious conversation. Like, it'd be like if I asked, like, I don't know, like Iron Mouse for advice on like, how do you stream and kind of not feel good all the time? Because I struggle with that. And she like was just, you know, clowning on me and not giving me a serious response. Like, I would be very upset because I look up to this person. And I would also be upset because you're not taking my questions that are obviously seriously. It's like you're disrespecting the questions I prepared, and you're also disrespecting me as a person and what I wanted to gain out of this conversation. So it's like he started off wrong. So then that's why he got kind of upset.
talk with Howie and get some insight to OCD and possible advice, and Howie just criticized everything Rob said. Hard to watch. I thought I liked Howie until hearing him on this episode. Not your fault, Rob and Jamie. You two are the best. The guest was just surprisingly shitty, especially to Rob, who started out ready to connect and ended up desperate to get the fuck out of there. Brutal. Keep in mind, Howie is 68 years old and Rob is 38. Howie comes from a generation where mental health was vastly stigmatized. He probably still has those moments where he does not want to vocalize his OCD. He doesn't want to be perceived as weak, which is also why he consistently keeps himself working on all these TV shows and podcasts, so he is not consumed by his disability. Rob comes from the generation where the importance of mental health is more accepted and understood. Younger people who suffer are encouraged to and more likely to speak about their illnesses. It's not clear if Rob was necessarily asking Howie for help looking for a specific answer, or if he was just trying to have a general conversation surrounding the topic. They suffer from a similar condition, but their personalities and their approach to handling it could not be more opposite.
Yeah.
But this all accelerated.
But it's like, I just think like it's so obvious how excited he seemed based off of the way his like eyes kind of lit up at the beginning. He kind of sat up when Howie came in asking him his questions. Like he really wanted some insight. But I don't know. I also think like if I was going to ask a guest, this could be the host thing. I'm not sure. If I was going to ask a guest that came on my podcast questions that were about some serious condition they had, I would double check with them prior and see like, hey, are you okay with talking about this? And I feel like a lot of like high-end celebrities have like a PR team that are like a publicist that gets that info for them and reads it to them. But the thing is here, I don't think he had that. And I don't think the podcast even attempted to try to reach out and give that information. So I think because of that, he didn't really want to talk about it, but he did. And that kind of was the initial disconnect.
When YouTuber Too Lazy to Try made a video criticizing Howie's behavior on the show. Too Lazy felt like Howie was being unsympathetic to Rob's genuine questions.
This one was tough to listen to, but I think it was mostly because of Howie. It felt like he was trying to make Rob as uncomfortable as possible. Like anything Rob would say, Howie would ask him 10 questions about it, and then Howie would make some weird jokes that would never land, and then he'd have to explain everything.
And his community
The way the commentary channel covering this talks about the podcast is like, it's like some kid that's forced to give a presentation about something that they're like not that interested in, but like they still do it anyway. It's like, yeah, so basically like, you know, back in World War, you know, in the Civil War, you know, there was the North and the South, and, you know, they fought, and, you know, it was a terrible conflict, you know, slavery and all that stuff. Like, you know, that's how like uninterested he sounded. It was like he was giving a history presentation on some topic he could not give less of a about.
Agreed with him. The irony of an old man dressing like a teenager only to talk down on the other adults as if they're the ones too immature to be worthy of mutual respect. Jamie and Rob gave their thoughts on the whole situation on a later podcast with Jim Norton.
I don't want to call anybody out, but sometimes you have a guest who you don't really like very much.
Oh, have you had that?
People notice. Listen, I don't. Maybe we
Just
did.
one.
Maybe
Just
we did.
one.
Obviously, no
Just one.
names.
Yeah.
No names. But can I ask you?
There'll be no way they could figure it out.
No. Because I've had.
No one noticed.
I've had things like that too, where you're just not clicking with a person, or there's something, or they come in with a attitude.
Yeah.
Or they wanna talk.
Yeah.
What, you don't have to say who the person was, but what was it? Were they snotty?
They didn't want to be here, it felt, from the second they walked in. And to the point where we just felt like we don't have to do this. And
Yeah, like if you don't want to be there, don't be there. Leaf Fall again. I think the Leaf Fall in this makes sense because the set's actually nice. But I've seen like 30 podcasts with these LA influencers. It's a white table in the middle. There's a kind of leaf wall in the back, and then bricks on the side, and 2 chairs on each side of the table. And they just talk, and it looks like the same set. And I guarantee there's like this studio space in LA that has like 30 rooms where you can just like rent it for an hour or something, and it's like pretty cheap or something. That's the only explanation for me. I feel like though, if I had a podcast and I was doing a consistent podcast, I would make my own set. And even if I didn't have money for a set, like I would just do it somewhere. Like I guess doing it in your house is kind of weird though. Like if I was a celebrity, I wouldn't want to show up to someone's house to get interviewed. So I guess it makes sense. But I don't know.
And it was just, to me, felt like a clunky conversation because there was just not a lack of respect, but a lack of respect. It was just like, you know, we're here just doing our podcast. We're not claiming to be anything. And I think this person was just coming with a lot of judgments about the two of us, it seemed. And every time we asked a question, it was the answer was making fun of us in the answer.
You know, in acting,
And like IMO, you can do that. IMO, you can do that, but you have to do it in like a good mannered way, or like you have to do it with podcast hosts that are less serious. Like if you were to go on Logan Paul's podcast and kind of make fun of him and have some little jabs, like, you know, hee-ha, I feel like that's more acceptable in that environment. But this did not give those vibes, right? Okay? Because I feel like, you know, Logan Paul and fucking Mike, whatever the hell, is going to make fun of you anyways. But it's like in podcasts like this, I'm like, maybe this isn't a good idea. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it's as... And that's why I think if I was going to do a podcast, I would like watch. I did one podcast one time. It was not a small, it was a very small podcast, but I did it because I don't know. I thought like the creators were like well-intentioned, so I did it. When this was like right before I got my old job. They wanted to like interview me and ask me. They were interviewing like some pretty big people actually. I was kind of impressed that they were able to do this. I do feel like they were nice girls. I feel like the podcast, I think it wasn't as interesting as it could have been. But they had more questions prepared and seemed more ready for that interaction than like Howie did in this situation. You know what I'm saying? And it was a very serious environment. So I wasn't like making fun of the girls or saying something like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I feel like I would be someone that I could definitely have a podcast moment where like I look terrible. I'm acknowledging that. Like I 100% could be Howie or the like podcast host in a situation. I think since my humor is very like aggressive and very bantery, if you aren't able to like hang, it doesn't really work. And that's fine. But I feel like I'm more socially aware of that than like Howie. But like Howie, you've been doing this since you were like what, late, early 20s, and you're like 60. I don't know. I've seen people that do make fun of people on podcasts, and I think it works. Like, what's the guy that hosts? I'm trying to think of his name. Bobby Lee. I don't have a strong opinion of Bobby Lee. I've heard and seen some crazy stuff, but I think like the joking environment of that podcast makes more sense to kind of come in with the same energy Howie is. But in a podcast like this, they don't give off that vibe. And if you watch like 10 minutes of one episode, you could probably see that. You know what I'm saying?
Supposed to do yes and like
Sure.
somebody says something and to continue an improv, you go yes and. It was just no.
And
it was no.
Wow.
That was the opposite of yes and. It was everything was
Yes,
no.
period.
Then
I remember that
Too
yes
Lazy made
period. That
another
was a
video
hard period.
detailing their response, which is when Howie realized he was receiving backlash for his behavior. He commented on the video, "This is my favorite episode yet. Keep up the good work."
What a PR answer. What a PR answer. Yo, who on your team wrote that? Who on your team wrote that? I know it wasn't you. Deborah write that? Did Deborah write that? Deborah, you pay like, $20 an hour. Did Deborah write that? Because personally, if this came from a normal person, I think they could say, hey, I apologize for how I came off in that episode or something. That's what I would have done. I would say, hey, I feel like I was, it just feels very out of touch. It's like, the best way I can see this is like bad PR thing. The worst way I can see this is, this seems like unironically petty as f. Okay, if someone, a big celebrity commented this on an episode where I was kind of talking them, but like it was justified, I would feel like they were trying to intimidate me by like seeming more mature about the situation, or like they were trying to be like, yeah, look at how immature you are, I'm gonna be mature. Like it just seems petty, if anything.
Work. Finally, Howie decided to formally respond to the situation on his own podcast by going clip by clip rewatching what took place and giving his perspective of what was going on inside his head. First, he said that he thought everyone was having a good time.
If you don't like me, or you don't think I'm funny, or you don't think what I'm doing is funny, and that's what this whole conversation has been about. So then I saw this Too Lazy to Try to say that I was insufferable and they were having a bad time with me. In my recollection, I didn't sense that they were having a bad time with me. Because here's the thing, I don't care if you don't like me.
Okay, just lie. Just lie again. Just lie again. Just do it. Just lie again. Just lie again. Just lie again. Just lie again. Because you gave off the vibes that you were having a bad time before they did. You came in and was like, I hated answering the questions. You seemed irritated by getting asked. It was like when a teacher asked you a follow-up question during a presentation, you seemed irritated. Okay, you seemed irritated. Okay, it was like when they pull your bag out at the airport and they have to do an extra thing, and you're kind of like, it was like, that's the vibe you gave off. You seemed like someone on your team agreed to do this podcast. You didn't want to do it, but it was too late to pull out. And since you're podcasting, you didn't want to have beef in the podcasting environment. So you went on the podcast anyways, even though you didn't want to, and it shows. That's what it looks like to me, personally. I could be reading it wrong, but it really seems like he didn't want to be there and someone on his team agreed on his behalf. Also, Mint River, thanks for the 2 months, bro. I don't know if I said that. If I didn't, my fault. But yo, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I don't care if you don't find me entertaining. The fact that I may have made somebody feel like uncomfortable in the room as their guest really bothers me.
So after Howie saw that Rob and Jamie told Jim Norton that they had a bad experience with him, he DM'd her on Instagram and read it on his podcast.
Like, I just think the apology was more like, you didn't like the energy I brought. I didn't know that. Why are you upset? Sorry if I made you upset. You know, it just seems, I don't know what it is, man. Like, I think sometimes, listen, as someone who's seen a lot of YouTuber apologies, I feel like YouTuber apologies, you know what? They suck, okay? They do suck. They're not great. But I feel like people pick apart those for way less. Like, I'm be honest, if you're a YouTuber and you apologize for anything, no one's ever going to be happy with it. I've come to this conclusion. There's no correct way to do it, okay? It's going to be a nightmare, all right? You know, it's either 2PR, but this just, it just like, it seemed like you were trying to cover your ass, and not even in a I'm trying to cover my ass way. It's in a like, why are they bothered about this? You know? I don't know.
He said,
also, Julia, there's the 5 gifted. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I hope I wasn't the horrible guest you were talking to Jim Norton about. If I came off offensive, I apologize. I truly was happy to be on your show and had a good time. To which Jamie replied, I'm so glad to know you enjoyed it. Truly, we were very excited to have you on. And to confirm Howie's suspicion that they were actually talking about him, he asked her, so I was the awful guest? To which she did not reply. And even Howie understood.
Oh, I would have said yes. I would say, yeah, I was talking about you exactly. You know, yes, word, I was. You were the awful guest, good sir, you know? But like, I feel like that's not a good brand strategy to respond to. See, this is why I shouldn't run a PR company, okay? Like, you know what I'm saying? I would have done that, okay? I would have done that. You know? I feel like he just wanted to investigate. But I feel like, did he even say sorry in that DM? Oh, he did. Okay. I think him asking comes off a little bit like no Sherlock, but I also feel like if I was really unsure and I wanted to ask to confirm, like, hey, so was I the awful guest? I just want to know so I don't do this again to anyone else. Would have been a better way to follow it up. But the way you asked seemed a bit weird. Like, you know, I feel like I would have been like, hey, if I was the horrible guest, please let me know so that I never do this on someone else's podcast, because I didn't want to disrespect their space the same way I disrespected yours. You know what I'm saying? But the way it was asked seems a little bit weird. It kind of seems like someone who's like socially inept is like hey, this is something that I would see like a early 20-year-old, you know, like this seems like some like Discord drama, like, you know, levels of cognitive thinking in the response. Like, it seems like there was no potential thought of how this could come off. And I don't think the question is bad. I just think the way it was worded on top of everything is the crux of the problem. The way he asked this question is the same way he was coming off on the podcast, where like he socially didn't translate his thoughts in an articulate enough way to not come off offensive or to, you know, communicate what he was trying to communicate. And I think this is another example of that. So I either think like he's kind of not great at talking to people, and like he's blunt in like a unaware way, or normally he has people that do this for him, and for the first time he's doing it himself, and that's the problem. Because a lot of like people that have been famous since like early, you know, 2000s, like they're so used to PR teams doing everything, whereas nowadays I feel like with the rise of like public figures that are like e-famous or e-celebrities, I think there's more of a emphasis on like people being more genuine and responding themselves, and I think these old-time celebrities have never done that before, so they're terrible at it. So I feel like that could be part of the issue, but it's just so weird, yo. Like, haven't been watching much, but finally got the chance. Yo, thank you, man, Dusty. I appreciate it. Thank you for the 3 months. I hope, you know, you enjoyed today's stream.
So glad to know you enjoyed it. Truly, we were very excited to have you on. And to confirm Howie's suspicion that they were actually talking about him, he asked her, "So I was the awful guest?" To which she did not reply. And even Howie understood that by Jamie not messaging him back, she was basically saying that he was the awful guest.
That's confirmation that it was me. And then now I've been watching the Too Lazy to Try because he shows scenes from it where it's been killing me. How can I construe, like, where would they get a bad vibe from me?
Howie spends the next 18 minutes going through many of the clips I played for you in this video and explaining what he was thinking during that time. And trust me when I tell you that his reaction to every single clip was that he was just joking and they did not understand his humor. And during his apology, he kept cracking jokes.
Because I'm medicated, when I'm not performing on stage, I live in a gray zone and my mood's there. So I'm not a good reactor because people will go, I'll say something and then they'll go, why are you so mad? I go, I'm not mad. I'm just not, I'm not mad. I'm just saying that their interpretation was he doesn't give a f, he doesn't want to be here. And that's not true. I love you guys. I'm a fan of you guys. I'm going to keep watching you guys. I'm actually apologizing that I would make you feel that way. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying.
Are you talking to the Sopranos kid?
I didn't know they were on the Sopranos.
Yeah.
You know what? I came out of this podcast thinking I was great. People are going to love this. In their comments, they hated me. Their viewers, because they're on their wavelength, like ours are on ours, they hated me. They hated me. I didn't care that their viewers hated me. What I do care about is that I made
them uncomfortable. You visibly made them uncomfortable. I'm looking at this now. You answer, and she looks back at a control room like, guys, what the fuck is this? What's going on?
Yeah! Like, yo, call him out, co-host.
Someone help us!
And also during his apology, he kept cracking jokes. Obviously, fans did not take this apology very well. Howie is just unflattering as a podcast host. Some people were just not meant to podcast. The more he talks, the less I like him.
I feel about, yo, some YouTubers don't stream. I'm telling you, don't stream. Don't stream. Don't stream. You people not gonna like you, okay? You, when you're not, you know, edited and Final Cut for 5 hours is like not a good time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like the same thing for like mainstream celebrities doing internet stuff. Like, you know how many mainstream celebrities get like a Twitter account and like that's the downfall of their career? Like, quite literally. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at Azealia Banks. If she never had a Twitter account, she would have been one of the biggest female rappers ever. But she was yapping too much.
Him. It seems pretty evident that two people with extreme OCD do not make for a good combination on a podcast. Howie expressed multiple times that he did not want to talk about his OCD. He also has well-documented interviews that say things like, "The biggest fear I have is being triggered, and if I'm triggered, I get some sort of weird thought in my head that can't go."
And I feel like if he explained his apology, hey, I was very triggered by the questions. I wasn't prepared for that. It caught me off guard. It made me start thinking about things. I apologize for not controlling my reaction to that. I'm just not used to this type of environment where the topic is brought up. Because of the line of work I've done, it's normally very formulaic and it's this and this and this, and I know what's happening. A podcast with open-ended questions, I wasn't ready for that. Something like that would have worked way better, you know?
And then my day is stopped. My life stops. Since Rob has a similar condition, he should know how debilitating it is to trigger someone with OCD.
But that's why I say, I feel like also on the podcast host, and you should have asked if talking about this was okay first with his publicist or him. I would never go on a podcast if I was a host and ask someone about some crazy mental health spiral they had if I didn't, you know, fluff it up and ask first if they were okay with talking about it. Because I feel like you're setting someone up to relive something that's traumatic for them if you don't preemptively prepare them for that. And I feel like if they bring it up and then you ask a follow-up question and then there's a misunderstanding, that's more understandable. But it's the fact that it was brought up by you initially in the introduction of the podcast. And I feel like off rip, you talking about like him being the king of OCD or whatever was for him not a funny joke because it's a very debilitating thing for him. It'd be like if I went on a podcast and they were like, oh, the king of chronic pain, you know, he's so broken, he can't even stand up correctly. I'd be like, what the hell? Like, I'm sorry, do I know you? So I understand why he was kind of pissed off in the beginning because it was a very odd introduction. But I feel like it was more obvious that was a joke than not. You You know, I don't know.
Plus, whenever Howie did cave and give Rob real advice, he combatively responded to Howie with multiple reasons why Howie's advice was not good enough. At the same time, Howie could have done even just a splash of research to know that they are not a comedy podcast, and his dry humor could easily be perceived as being rude or insulting, especially considering that he obviously did not know who these two were, nor did he know what their podcast was about. His half-baked, "I love your podcast, I'm still going to watch," an apology seems disingenuous because he couldn't acknowledge his pitfalls.
Yeah, because you ain't watched it before, stupid.
After.
You think we
Overall,
gonna believe you watching it now? Let's be
is...
honest. You think we gonna believe you watching it now? Huh? But you couldn't even watch it before? You really think I believe that? You think I believe that? I think Rob didn't do a good job with the questioning. It was very random. I think he got oddly offended, and the stuff he asked was kind of a little bit invasive. I feel like both sides messed up. I feel like Howie fumbled a bit more. I think it was a very obvious example of two people not clicking. If you're gonna ask tough questions like that, you have to prep people beforehand. You have to, bro. You have to. Like I said, if someone came in like, "Hey, yo, what was it like when you got your head cut open and, you know, were you depressed? How bad did your depression got? What would you rate your depression on a scale of 1 to 10? Like, I'd be like, who are you to ask me this question, sir? What do you mean? I'm sorry. What? Both of them could have handled it with more grace. You know, it was just, there was a lot of hostility, but that's it. That's the video. Yo, I didn't think it was gonna be that bad. I really didn't. Yo, I was like, damn, this is worse than I thought.